Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Behind the Signs. We are really lucky to be talking to Evan Zebley from Minuteman Press. Evan, thank you so much for joining us. I am a huge fan of your videos, and we'll talk a little bit about those as we move along. But why don't you tell us about yourself? And you're out on the road today working, so tell us about your company, what you do there, and a little bit of your sign shop history.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. So I've been in the wide format industry for about 10 years now. Got into it with a sign shop. Me and my sister decided to take over a small sign shop in a very small market. It took me about 2 years to realize I didn't like working with family that much and to move on from there. Still a great relationship. We still work together and help each other all the time. But yeah, in the central Georgia market has worked out very well for me. I've learned a lot of stuff in wide format, including sign industry overall when it comes to manufactured signage, lighted signage, how to task cranes, do the correct amount of welding, light electrical, things like that. But of course, what we do here at Minuteman is a lot more wide format printing. So we do have some automation that allows us to just really print bulk signs right out the door and help our community of local retail customers, but also local sign shops as well.
I've always thought about Minuteman Press as being more of like, business cards and that sort of stuff. So I think it's really cool that you guys are doing signage as well. So now you were mentioning earlier when we were chatting that you came on board after this Minuteman Press had already been going and they didn't do a lot of wide format. So how did you get all that going there?
Sure. Well, I think a lot of businesses, especially if you find yourself in what I call, more of a mom and pop situation, you have a lot of customers that they're looking for a one-stop shop. They want you to do everything for them. And of course, you want to say yes. So Minuteman was no different. You're exactly correct that Minuteman classically does the digital offset printing for business cards, flyers, short-run magazines, that sort of thing. And of course, they had a lot of customers that were also asking for signs. They were using vendors such as Signs 365, a great vendor, by the way.
Right.
But they had me look at their books and just see, did it make sense? Were they at the point for them to take on the equipment, staff, and facility to start doing signage in-house? And when I looked at their numbers, I decided, not only could I increase their margins by at least 30%, but I could probably triple their sales.
Right.
And by the end of the first year, we accomplished all of those goals and actually went a little bit further.
Wow.
So it's done. That's a credit to their market share here, that they had all of these customers, and then it was just sort of turning on the hose. Like, let's go ahead and start giving these same customers signs.
All right. Well, that's great. Well, so, we've been talking a lot lately to sign shop owners and trying to, really focus on one thing that they're doing that has been successful and working for them. Because so many times, I see this come up in groups a lot in some of the sign groups on Facebook. How are you marketing yourself? How are you getting new customers and all that? And the one thing that attracted me to your business is your videos. They're so good. I am definitely a believer in telling a story about the problems you're solving and what you're doing. And I think a lot of sign shops sort of miss that. You'll go to their websites and they might have a nice portfolio. Here's a monument sign we built or whatever, but they're not necessarily connecting the dots on, what problems they were solving and how they did it. And you are just nailing that with your videos. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of them that you made because I thought they're great. And the one is you actually labeled it Behind the Signs, how it was made. And you did this project with your son. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, part of us moving into a new 10,000 square foot facility with Minuteman to facilitate our sign production was that we thought it would be a great opportunity to have a ribbon cutting and kind of expose our local market again, reintroduce them to Minuteman and what the brand is, and as well as give them a tour of the facility. Now, as we all well know about signs and most products, that our customers need to see what they're going to buy. They normally can't imagine it. We need to show it to them. So the day of the ribbon cutting, I was working right up to it for clients. My son was off from school, and I said, I really want you to come help me, please. Because the one thing about my son is when he was in that building, I realized he's the only other person in the building that's been in signs just as long as I have. That, since he was a little kid, he was helping me. So he gets how to make it. But that aside, I
Yeah.
decided that we needed to have a large display. So from the design concept, we hit print, we put it on the CNC to cut it, and then we installed it. And it took a little bit less than 2.5 hours for us to have basically this 20 foot by 15 foot display up, so that as everybody came through, which we had a great turnout, I think more than 150 visitors registered to attend across three chambers of
Wow.
commerce. And then what was great for me was not just, hey, this is what we do and how we do it, but the personal side of that, that this is my son. He's been doing this just as long as I have. He can run the flatbed CNC. He can run our direct to substrate printer. He understands this business. And it's just, as you mentioned, showing that there's more to it, that there's a people component to what we're doing.
Hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
when people see that, they realize, oh, yeah, I'm not just buying a product. I am buying from somebody that cares about what they're making.
Yeah. So have you felt those videos? Because you've made a lot of them and they're all so great. I love watching them. They bring a smile to my face every time. You're so darn good at that. Do you feel like those have really helped a lot with connecting, like humanizing well, like you just said, you're humanizing the process of making this product, but do you also feel like it's helped people feel a better connection with you? And has it helped with your building your brand?
Absolutely. I feel that's actually part of why I have the mustache, for instance. I realized very early on
It's great.
that, yeah, well, what happens now is I walk down the street and people literally grab me and stop me. And they're like, you're the sign guy, right? I need
Yeah.
this. Can you help me with this? And it, it's
Yeah, that's great.
it's a little bit of a character, honestly, but
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer in marketing in general. You have to have a human connection in there somewhere. In fact, when
Yeah.
we were coming up with a marketing campaign for Minuteman Press, and we had a meeting, and we're like, "Hey, we want to show off this product. We want to show off that product." That's great, but we got to have some human component in those images. I don't care if it's a
Hmm.
hand holding it. We need to show people how they relate to this. Now,
Right.
with signs, what's really fun is that they're huge. So you
Hmm.
have this kind of opportunity to show off the scale of them. And why not add that
Hmm.
human component by adding scale? Go ahead and be your
Right.
own Mike Rowe. Like, hey, I'm putting
Hmm.
this high rise 200 foot in the air. Let me show you how much of a dot I am in this picture in this bucket while the sign is going up in the air.
Yeah.
That's just so
Yeah.
cool. Nobody gets to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, and it does it because people love, right? People do business with people. They don't do business with the sign or the product. And so if you're putting yourself in that story, it's gonna create such a sense of loyalty from the customer side dealing with you. That's for sure. So well, that's great, man. You're doing some really cool work. I know you're super busy out there. The other thing I wanted to say is I noticed from one of your videos you even used it for your you have a leads group going on and you use the video to kind of connect, invite people to it, which was the video was great, by the way. It was awesome. But so has that been pretty successful, like inviting people to, events and things like that using the videos?
Absolutely. Part of my marketing strategy has always been to involve community in what you're doing.
Hmm.
Now, I'm also a firm believer in that we, as most people in the sign business, we are operators. We're the ones that
Hmm.
are actually doing the printing, the fabrication, the installation. We're out there sweating. Um,
Hmm.
so I try to make sure that every project that I'm doing, if you imagine a Venn diagram, I don't want to do one project here and another project out here. I want these to overlap. So when I do networking, I try to
Yeah.
do business networking. As you know, in the sign industry, most of our customers are going to be other businesses. So if you create
Right.
an opportunity for these businesses to network and get together, and they're doing that through your organization, then guess who they're ordering all of their signs through? The one sign guy
Right.
they know. So
Yeah.
it's worked incredibly well. And in fact, now I'm having the problem, and I had some discussions with the marketing team earlier today, that now the message is getting a little bit confusing, that am I a networking guy or am I a sign guy? So that's
Mm.
something to look out for, as
Yeah.
making sure that you have that clear message every time. However, that being said, when it comes to dollars, yes. The bigger the network grows, the more connections I'm making, the more trust people have in general in me and who I am and what I'm providing, which is just a solution, really. We're all, whether we're sign makers or otherwise, we're all just providing a solution to our customers. So
Right.
they trust that I will do that. And I make sure to always honor that promise to them. And it just continues to grow.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, you're doing a great job. And I just, again, the question comes up in the groups so often, like, how do I, build my customer base? How do I connect better with my customers? And I think you are knocking it out of the park. So I know you're super busy. You're already out on the road today. I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you about how well you're doing with this and keep up the good work. And if you're out there running a sign shop and figuring out how to connect with your customers, try some videos, put yourself in your pictures, tell stories on your website about the problems that you solve for your customers, and don't just put a static picture up and think that the people are going to connect with that. So you're doing great with that. Hopefully, other sign folks will be encouraged by the few minutes that we had together. And I just want you to know I appreciate your time today.
Well, and let me extend that back to you, Joe, that I appreciate you building a network and wanting to include people and allow people a safe space for people to ask the questions that we all had to learn the hard way. And we wish there was somebody that gave us that advice up front, whether that's something technical like, hey, I'm getting this banding. Why is this happening? To how do I get more customers? Or what's the product that I need to use? And I love that that exists through the Facebook group. And I think that's phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to helping contribute however I can. I would love to help you grow the network. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh, thanks, Evan. I appreciate it. Behind the signs. Woo. All right. Take care, man. Keep making those videos. I love them. They're great. So, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Like that. We're coming here to make a scene. Yeah, like that. Better get out of the way or you get run down. Yeah, we like that. Turning heads and make them scream. Ooh, like that.
Hey everybody, I'm Evan Zebley with Minuteman Press, and I'm here to invite you to the next Leads meeting happening this Wednesday, March 8th at 12 noon in the downtown Perry Area Chamber of Commerce. At the Leads meeting, it's an opportunity for you to represent your business or organization to other businesses and organizations. And then you can 1, say who you are, 2, who do you work for, and 3, how can everyone else in the room help you? So if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure to visit us this Wednesday, March 8th, 12 noon in the downtown Perry Area Chamber of Commerce. Again, I'm Evan Zebley with Minuteman Press, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks so much for listening. Please comment below and be sure to share with your sign industry friends. Behind the Signs is provided to you by your friends at Sign Tracker, a cloud-based project management and quoting system for sign shops of all types and sizes. Try it free at sign-tracker.com.